Before he died, he had a farmhand, and his name was John Sosnowski.
I'll give everybody time to get in here.
It can only be described as dysfunctional, to put it mildly. They were an unlikely romantic couple.
Well, I don't think she was in love with him.
Then we'll start talking about these dysfunctional people.
Her life.
She was lonely, and she didn't have anyone to take care of anymore because everybody was gone.
I don't have long, so maybe everybody will stream in here in just a minute. Might be a bad time.
We were looking for a section of tiny thin cheese that we could cut away, slice that. We were looking for that.
They're able to get into the house and they search. They find basically nothing
Hey,
except for a piece of paper that has.
how are you? I'm not talking to you, Cookie. I'm on live.
Amazing.
A good piece. The expression is
I know. I'll talk to you in a minute. My doggy thinks I'm talking to her instead of y'all.
Somewhat forward.
The police decide to question John's.
So how are y'all doing this Sunday? I'm not talking to you, sweetheart.
This entire piece on its head.
You're cute, though. I know this is terribly dysfunctional, and you know, it does not going to help with the kid situation. Before, I guarantee you, before then people can even get in their office in the morning, the phones will be ringing off the hook. Guarantee you. And quite honestly, you know, I told y'all about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, just to sit back and watch that these people would fall apart all on their own. And the wheels are coming off. But the way they're coming off, I almost just felt bad last night. I'm good. Thanks for asking. But a lot of things that happened was kind of telling. 7 alibis that he can count, and she has none. I know, because that gives you just a few seconds or a couple of minutes of insight of what those babies have lived through. One for 13 years, one for 10 years, one for 9 years, one for 5 years. Until one child just finally come up missing. It was horrible for me to watch, you know? It really was. It took my mom overdosing for me to get out of a situation similar to that before it all just stopped. And I was like 13, so I can really sympathize. But Lord have mercy. It makes me wonder if the PR guy and the church don't have something to do with it, or why would they be in it knee deep when they're not even supposedly non-paying members? So why is the pastor even letting them drag that church through the mud like that? I don't get that. That is unreal to me. And 7 alibis. let's see. For one, he said he's got Starlink. That's one. He's got probably 3 people at work, so that would make 4. But then there's one of the guys that he works with that says that he left at 3 o'clock that day for about an hour. So that's take away 1. So we're what's the other 3 alibis? What could they be? I think he went to see his probation officer that day, because Hunter said something to Chris about one of them having to go see their probation officer. So I'm guessing that's one. That church group is bad sketchy as. And y'all remember that research I done on them that showed that they were actually a branch off of the SDA and were Branch Davidians. So the SDA is a branch off the LDS, and then the Branch Davidian is a branch off of the SDA. I haven't heard that he was supposedly at church around 4. But I do know that he left work at 3 for some reason, but then he had went back to work. I'm wondering if he had that car all day or just part of the day. That's what I'm wondering. But, Don has been around people in the Mormon church all his life. He was raised around them. He was raised Mormon. So he's seen all the messed up things that these people do and how they torture people mentally. And it makes you wonder, when he was in Utah, he set him up a life there. And I'm not sure that Candace is the reason that he come back when Jose was there. I'm thinking that Summer might have been the reason that he come back, because he had been separated from Candace for 3 months. So him and Josie had set up a life there. Y'all remember that. Last night when he was telling her, and right now she's not coming back. Right now there is no hope, and he was kind of screaming at Candace, and he was stressing how she was acting, and right now Summer's not coming back. Well, how do you know that? And when the pictures of him being in the church that somebody took, and he's sitting there paying attention, and Candace is sleeping, makes you wonder if maybe he's not trying to drive her crazy or drive her to suicide or drive her to prison. And then him go back to Utah and his daughter's there. If she's in prison, he would get custody of the boys. I mean, it makes you wonder if that's not another possible situation. Because, he's found out that she's been with this one and she's been with that one. And she was supposedly with Hunter that day. And you know that those boys told him more than once that there was an inappropriate relationship between her and Hunter. And if that baby was, if Summer was drugged that day, I believe she was drugged so she couldn't tell Dawn everything that happened that day, or that Hunter was with them that day. I mean, it's just something that crossed my mind last night as I was listening to him scream at her. And right now, like he had control over when she might or would come back. I believe they've always been users, and it's only got worse since the 15th. Though I do too. I do too. And if she is gone, I hope that baby haunts both of them forever. Forever. I hope neither one of them ever gets a moment's peace. I'm proud they ain't resting too. I've got some screenshots I'll put up after a while where the day that EquiSearch was out there, the one statement that Dave Rader released to the public right after they had left, and I believe this was the second time they had searched, he said that there was so many hypodermic needles out there that he was afraid for some of his people to be out there in the woods on the Wells property. But it was like a I forgot the word he used, but it was like a devastating amount. So that tells you that they were users way, way, way before the 15th. And I'm still not letting Jody Sue off the hook. There's just something that tells me there's something eerie about that statement that she made. One of them will end up dead at least. But there's just something eerie about what she said about Andy seeing seeing Summer's dead body. And then her daughter backed up the statement. And it makes you wonder how she's involved, but she's involved one way or another. Did y'all see Josh on the lab last night? Or it may have been yesterday. Yeah, I agree. That's who they've been for years. Man, that whole hill. And how many more of them's going to pop out before this is over onto social media? I don't care what anybody says. I'm not gonna jump in head first over somebody saying, "Oh, she's innocent." There was something about the way both of them was talking about Andy seeing that dead body. That's the way it was here until a few months ago. Probably a few years ago. And then everything around here started growing. But pretty much everybody still knows everybody's families. Oh, okay. Josh was telling about the person in the very beginning that come out and said that they had called the welfare, called CPS, and he thought that it was Jody Sue. Did y'all catch that one? If you didn't catch that one, go back and watch it where he's talking about the neighbor who contacted CPS. And you can tell by the way she had wrote this letter, there was something real eerie about that too. And did she have something to do with her coming up missing because she felt so sorry for him? Because she talked about the way the rats was coming up on the cabinets and... Man, Doug tears my nerves up, especially since he's got that soundboard. And I just can't do it. I believe that neighbor was Jody Sue. Because she talks about how Don and Candace got into a fight when she put Kool-Aid dye in Summer's hair. And come to find out, when she lets her hair down, her hair's cut just like Summer's. So, I don't know, but I can count like 5. Well, with you guys saying the church, that's 6. We're still 1 alibi short. But you know, a normal person just needs 1 alibi. They don't need 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just one good one. Is all a person needs. And it was almost like he was taunting Candace with that. Haha, I've got my alibis, you have none. You're gone. I don't know, but you know, more than that, I wonder about the property, because you see Candace and whoever else was in the car with her that day that Summer was asleep on milk jugs. You see them on Lone Star Road for some reason. And then come to find out, I found that property that Jody Sue and Andy have also, where the trailer's at, and a small lake back there at 5600 Lone Star Road. So is that where they were going with Summer? And nobody has mentioned this property before I found it. Nobody. And I have heard, and I don't know if it's the truth or not, but I have heard that they took the kids swimming back there on some more of Andy's family's property. And Don did not seem at first like he was that messed up to me last night. It seemed like when they started off that he was pretty sobers. Oh, thank you, Bama Girl, for catching that for me, because I'm not seeing everybody as they come into chat. There's a few. So, and it seems like my suspicions were right about certain people acting like FBI agents and law enforcement agents that were not. And I'm still not getting my whole questions answered about everybody that was involved with that. I keep asking about the main group. And who was actually instructing them to do this? Where was Chase getting his instructions from? And nobody will answer me. Most of Jody Sue's videos is on my page, or on my videos. I'm sure that Andy went to Don's regularly since he was his drug dealer. And the last time I checked, Jody Sue's videos were open on her Facebook page. Now, I don't do Facebook. Very rarely do I even go to Facebook. But she had all her videos opened the day that I found them and recorded off of them. And see, that's another one. She sat and told that Andy wouldn't let those kids go to school. Well, one of them's 13 and needs to be in school. And something just ain't right with that whole situation, because she acts like she controls all of Ben Hill. And everybody acts like they are afraid of her. And as far as Andy goes, it seemed like to me the videos that they done in the truck and the videos that they done with him there, that if she was too scared of him, she wouldn't be saying some things that she says for sure. I don't have Facebook, so I can't watch them unless someone puts it on here. You can check the ones that I have up. I will go there tonight and see if she has anything up worth watching. Most of the time it's just Bible. And she never gets to her point. I think she's a bully too. I believe that because she thinks that she deserves everything, and she says several times that her kids are the legal heirs of that land. The KKK ain't what they used to be. Now they're just a bunch of idiots running around in sheet hoods. You're welcome. I try to keep everything up to date. I just couldn't hardly believe what I saw last night. But, you know, after going back and watching one more time, I noticed the first time when she says something about, well, you're a dumb MF, or everybody just seen you hit me. He was still sitting down. It wasn't until the second time, and then you only hear it, you don't see it. So if you go back and watch, the first time she accuses him of hitting her, he was still sitting down. So I think it's both of them. And I think she's almost just as abusive as he is. And she wasn't just crying, y'all. She was back there yelling and bellowing. Did he reach up? Well, I know the second time he did, but the first time I wasn't sure. Oh, excuse me. But all that bellowing and yelling that she was doing from the back reminded me of her staged phone call to Mary. All that fake crying. Because you notice when Rosemary Bly was brought up, she stopped all that screaming and bellowing and started asking questions. When the screaming and bellowing didn't work, she started asking him to... No, first she started screaming, but I love you. And then she come in there and asked him to scratch her ass. But most of us women know the difference in just overhearing somebody cry and somebody just screaming and crying at the top of their lungs. And to me, she was screaming and bellowing. If you don't know what bellowing is, look it up in the Redneck Dictionary. I can't think of another word for it. And you're telling me that that woman lives in the country and she does not know how to use a wood heater? She cannot start a wood heater on her own? I heard somebody say something that her teeth had got infected or something, but gosh, it's been, what, 2 weeks since they've been to the Dr. Phil show and she started getting her teeth fixed. What happened? Did she get a bunch of dry sockets from smoking, or... Because I know when I go to the dentist, they'll tell me, and don't smoke for 24 to 48 hours, you know. I'm glad to see you here. So, how did her teeth end up getting infected 2 weeks later? Usually your chance of infection is like up to 72 hours later, not 2 weeks later. Was she not taking care of her mouth and keeping her mouth real clean, or... But anyway, that's not the point of this video. I've had a bad toothache, and it's terrible. And I have had such a bad toothache, I've wanted to slam my face into a wall. So if she was having dry sockets or tooth pain, I do feel sorry for her. But again, out here in the country, us country girls was raised to You push through the pain, and you light a wood heater. No matter what, there's things that has to be done in the country. You're funny, Bama girl. Exactly. I have had surgery, and when I should have been in the bed, been up cooking my kids dinner. I've had wood heaters in my house to where I have been sick as all get out, but somebody has to get up during the night and put a log on the fire to keep it warm until the next day. And I had one of my children in that situation to where as soon as I come home from the hospital, we got hit by a snowstorm. And I had just had a baby. And I had to get up and keep that fire stoked all night long to keep that baby warm. So my point is that why the kids had second and third degree burns on their arm? Is because she was making them do the fire because she wouldn't get up and do it? Y'all remember them saying that both those boys had, or two of the boys had burns on their arms, second and third degree burns? Is it because it was their responsibility to keep the fire going while Don was at work? Because I can tell you, my kids never was allowed around the wood heater. That was something that me and their dad done. They were just not allowed around it, period. And when you're burning wood in a wood heater, every piece of wood has to be checked. You got to know how to skim over it with your eyes to make sure that no poison ivy, no poison oak, or no poison sumac is growing on that log. Because if you start burning poison oak, poison sumac, poison oak in your house, and that gets in everybody's lungs, it can kill somebody. So an adult needs to be responsible for what gets burnt and what don't get burnt. So her sitting back there, and let me tell you, all the energy that she spent bellowing, that she could have got a fire going in a quarter of that time. Now I understand she's mad at her husband, and her husband should have done it. A loving husband would have done it. But she knows by now that she's married to a man that don't give a shit about things like that. So this isn't a new situation for her. I don't think he's probably ever been a loving husband. And neither do I buy that she's been a loving wife. I think that these two have verbally attacked and abused each other to the point of no return. They need to be separated and put in rehab before one of them does die. No doubt. And there's something else that I caught that bothers me. Y'all remember we was talking about sometimes summer looks like there's maybe 2 summers? Did y'all catch last night when he said that he had 5 kids? He had 2 with Pam, so that would make 6. So how does he count that he had 5 kids? And right now there's 3 boys and Summer, that makes 4. So where's the other one come from? Where is this fifth child that he said that he had? Go back and listen. I thought 5 kids, because technically he's got more than that altogether. Man, that's the worst train wreck I've seen in a long time. You're right. Right, well, even if he means now, he's still a child short. Oh, you mean with Summer gone? Yeah, but you know, even with my son gone, I don't tell people, well, I just have 2 kids. You know, I still say I've got 3 children and one of them's passed. I have never changed the amount of children that I had just because one of them's passed. Right, but I am not done. Did y'all go back and look at those pictures that I told you to look at yesterday? Y'all need to do that. What about Dale? Was she there last night? I didn't hear her or see her. Jody Sue. I don't know where she's at or what she's doing, but I certainly think that she's guilty or knows more than what she's saying too. For sure. If all these so-called friends that she had or they have really cares about them, they'll separate them and put them in rehab. I think I've got them labeled on the video, the many faces of summer, maybe. I think that's the video because it shows, you know, some side by sides where one of them's got very round eyes, you know, one of them's got like oblong eyes. One of them has like a hump in the side of their nose, like their nose has been broke, and the other one don't. But I'll let y'all be the judge of that. She most definitely does. It's like we're looking for 2 different summers. And it's not just healthy versus unhealthy or growing or whatever. Like I said, there's very different physical distinctions. She did get real skinny. You know, as far as the cult part goes, I even thought, what if these kids were just, or Summer or whatever, was put in their care by the church for a short amount of time, and then they come back after her, but that was a long shot, and I thought that only in the beginning. like up until I seen, and I'll reference your video there, Candace's first interview. Yeah, most definitely the dogs did it. That's where they were at that day. So. I have got company here. Hang on just a minute. Cookie. Back up. Back up. Or I'm not going to open the door. Back up or I'm not going to open the door. Alright guys, I'm not going to keep you long. I have got company here, so I will just cut this stream. But I love you all, and at this point I don't think the church is either. I think that we should be more looking at Jody Sue being involved with the ass end of an accident. But I love you all, and I'll try to jump back on here a little later, okay? Bye.